was talking to my therapist and I asked her what's the difference between platonic love and romantic love because I'm having a hard time understanding the difference between the two.
About platonic relationship and romantic relationship. You guys, what is the difference in your own word? What is the difference between the platonic relationship and romantic relationship? Because both of them are actually almost the same. Which is better? Which is better for you to invest in? Is it a platonic relationship or romantic relationship? My own, I feel like the obvious difference is smacks. If you're in a platonic relationship with a woman, you might not want to have sex with her. If you're straight, you can have sex with her, of course. And but you guys are doing literally almost everything that you do in a romantic relationship. It's just sex. But then some people actually have sex with their platonic relationship as well. You guys, what do you think is different? Which is more for you? Which is better for you to invest in? Is it the romantic one or the platonic one? Because I feel like that romantic relationship, they kind of advertise it more than the platonic relationship. Let me show you some videos, then we'll come back and discuss.
I was talking to my therapist and I asked her what's the difference between platonic love and romantic love because I'm having a hard time understanding the difference between the two, except that romantic love, there's that physical attraction and intimacy. But other than that, like they're the same thing to me. Obviously, romantic love has that commitment, but friendships could also have that commitment. When you go through a friendship breakup, it's nearly as bad as going through a romantic breakup. I see them as like pretty similar to each other. And then she asked me the question, if I don't really see that much of a difference but the physical attraction and the intimacy, then how do I view physical intimacy? And then I told her that I view physical intimacy like an activity. Like it's an activity that you do with someone. Like I view physical intimacy like if you were to go sparring for jujitsu. That's how I see physical intimacy. And then she told me, well, that's the thing though. You see it like that, but you don't see it as an act of love. But I'm like, our generation doesn't really act like it's an act of love. This is things that you see on TV or like maybe from our parents, but like this generation right now does not view physical intimacy as an act of love. Romantic love is a social construct. In our society, we view romantic love like it's the most important thing. And as a little girl, you're taught that one day you are going to find the one. And you're going to live this happily ever after to sell us this nuclear family and keep this machine going. But other than that, like I believe in love for sure. Like I believe in love, I believe in romantic love, but I don't view it higher than friendship. I see the love that I have for my romantic partner and my love that I have for my friends the same way. So how do you guys view romantic love and platonic love? What's the difference for you guys?
Okay, real talk. What is the difference between platonic and romantic relationships? I don't think it's a matter of emotional depth because you could be emotionally vulnerable with both your friends and romantic partners. I also don't think it's a matter of sex because there are platonic friends that you would have sex with, right? I don't know if that's a hot take, but like, eh. I also don't think the difference is love because obviously you can love your friends and partners the same amount. Is it evolutionary? Because if it were evolutionary, we'd just be out here having sex and making babies with anyone. So that makes me think that it stems from a matter of control and also the way that romantic relationships are portrayed in the media. And I also feel like this relates to the monogamy versus polygamy debate and also how marriage has been so overly romanticized and also commodified. Like back then, marriage wasn't because two people were in love with each other. It was for economic reasons. So someone tell me, what is the difference? We'll also probably make a podcast episode on this in the future, so let me know your thoughts.
Okay, so let's talk about why I don't necessarily recommend platonic relationships between men and women. This was a question that I got actually a few times on my previous video where I had kind of mentioned it in passing. And so I thought I would expand a little bit about why I think these relationships tend to be slightly fraught and potentially problematic. Now, obviously here I'm talking about heterosexual men and heterosexual women, not queer folk. Obviously that's going to be a totally different dynamic. And I'm also specifically referring to a friendship where it is like one man and one woman, not necessarily a mixed group where you have men and women as a group who are friends, because I think that that's, again, just a different dynamic. So I think the thing that you really need to understand as a woman is when you try to have a platonic friendship with a man, it is always the case that the man will find you attractive. Like, men in general are not going to be friends with a woman that they wouldn't, excuse my French, but sleep with. So let's just be honest about that. They don't want to be in a relationship with you, but they will find you attractive. And this is sort of what creates a lot of tension in these relationships. The first pitfall that I would say, and the one that must be avoided at all costs, is never be or try to be friends with a man who actually wants to be in a relationship with you, but you do not have any interest in him. Because what is happening in that dynamic is that the man is kind of settling for friendship, but in reality, he's going to try to use friendship as a way of kind of convincing you to be in a relationship with him. And all of the things that he will do will be with the purpose of kind of winning you over. This is the stereotypical nice guy who is not actually being nice just because he wants to be nice and wants to be your friend. He is only being nice conditionally because he thinks that it will get him what he wants ultimately, which is to be in a relationship with you. And inevitably, he will become angry and resentful if you continue to reject him, and he will just not be able to deal with that level of rejection. And he will view your friendship as you basically using him and kind of taking advantage of his feelings for you. And so ultimately, this will end badly. And the second dynamic that you must avoid at all costs is the opposite. When you actually have feelings for a man and you want more in terms of the relationship than he is willing to give you. So if you have genuine feelings for him and you are getting attached to him and all he wants is to be friends or even potentially friends with benefits, this is just going to end up with you being hurt ultimately. Like, if a man really loves you and wants to be with you, he will be with you, and you do not need to kind of be his friend and try to convince him of what a great girlfriend you would be in order to think like potentially he will change his mind. He won't change his mind. So any man who doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, if you want to be in a relationship with him, accept that at face value. Don't try to be his friend. So putting those two scenarios aside, when can it actually kind of work? And I want to talk about that because I did mention that I had platonic male friends when I was younger, in high school and in college, and it wasn't actually all that bad. Now, I want to preface this by saying that these men were not my core group of friends. I always had a core group of female friends, and I think that that is a very important point to make. And the second reason that it was kind of sort of okay was because neither of us wanted to be in a relationship with the other, even though there was that underlying attraction. The reason for that, at least in my case, was that those men were going through what I call their Playboy era, and I was going through what I call my avoidant attachment era. So I actually didn't want to be emotionally attached, and they didn't want to be emotionally attached. And so, in a sense, it kind of worked. But that doesn't mean it was actually a healthy relationship, or one that I would have considered or wanted to be a kind of core relationship in my life. And inevitably, these relationships always have an expiration date. And that is because eventually we grow up and we meet someone and we want to be in a relationship with them. This can go either way. And in my opinion, it is not healthy to continue having platonic relationships with someone of the opposite sex while you are in a serious committed relationship. I would never do that to my husband. I would never want him to do that. And when I was friends with these men, ultimately, like, if they did end up getting into a relationship, we would pull away from each other because that's what was appropriate. And the reason that it didn't bother me was because, again, I had a core group of girlfriends. These were not my like bestie best friends. They were just guys that like I enjoyed spending time with sometimes. I think in hindsight, if I'm honest with myself, the reason that I enjoyed spending time with these guys was because it gave me male validation without the need to get emotionally involved. And when I was at that age, remember we're talking like my teenage years / into my very early 20s, I still had a lot of insecurities, and I didn't want to actually have a really strong emotional sort of relationship, but at the same time I liked that they found me attractive, and so it kind of boosted my ego, and it probably boosted theirs as well. And the final thing I want to point out is that I was probably very lucky, because the guys that I was friends with were ultimately actually like good men. They didn't ever take advantage of me, you know, and we would go out, and I thought to myself, oh, I'm going to be safer with this man. But in reality, we know now that you're much more likely to be assaulted by somebody that you know, because you allow yourself to become vulnerable with them and put yourself in vulnerable situations. And that is exactly what I did. I definitely put myself in vulnerable situations multiple times, and I was just very lucky that they never took advantage of me or did anything to hurt me. And that was, I think, just 100% pure luck. And that is why I kind of caution in hindsight to say, like, is this really a good idea? Because like my story could end up very differently in just very different circumstances. So while being friends with them did give me an interesting insight into the male mind, and inevitably kind of led me to become more comfortable eventually having romantic relationships with men, and so in that way it kind of served its purpose, I do think that it was fraught with danger. And would I recommend it to young women? No, I don't think that it is worth the risk. If you happen to find yourself with a male friend who you do trust, he is a good guy, like, okay, I'm not saying, you know, ditch him. I'm just saying be aware of the potential dangers and the potential pitfalls and the potential drawbacks, and also be prepared for the fact that this friendship is inevitably going to end, because I do not think that it is going to be healthy for either of you to try to continue the relationship when you are now moving into the phase where you want to have a serious romantic relationship. So that is what I think about that. But you guys let me know, what have your experiences been with platonic male friendships?
I'm so sick and tired of people deprioritizing and undervaluing platonic love. Platonic love, I think, comes second to a lot of people to romantic love. And that's such a shame, because I really believe platonic love is the best and most authentic form of love, because you're genuinely choosing another person consistently without any of the expectations that come with romantic love and familial love. It's like you said about this person, I want you in my life. I know your flaws and I love you even more because of them, and I'm going to continuously choose you without expecting anything in return. Like, that to me is so pure and so beautiful, and truly the only love I absolutely need in this life.
Romantic love was really invented by lower status men for lower status men, so that they might be able to compete with higher status men in the sexual marketplace for women. Because they didn't have the resources and the status and the opportunity that most women are looking for in their partners, they invented an intangible, romantic love that they argued was even more special and valuable than all of that mere stuff. It's kind of a spell that romantic lovers attempt to cast over their love objects. However, it's a tenuous, fragile spell that can really be broken at any time. So romantic love actually works only to the extent that the romantic lover succeeds in drawing the love object away from anything that would remind her, essentially, that the emperor has no clothes. Sort of attempting to draw the woman away from the world into this little universe of two, where everything that we need is in each other's eyes. Forget about everything else. Look only at me. It's a hypnotic spell, whose objective is to lure the love object away from anything that could break the spell. That's why romance is generally a strategy for those who can't compete successfully in the world yet, a group that is overpopulated by young men. It's very, very hard to be a young man in this world, let me tell you. They're incompetent and inexperienced, so men can't do anything with them. And they're poor and low status, so women don't want anything with them. No young man is the king. And if they can't rule in the real world, one of their sexual strategies is to kind of hypnotize women with the fantasy of romantic love into following them out of the real world and into the universe of two, where he can be king. Do you understand now?
You guys, what's the difference between platonic relationship and romantic relationship? Why are people now choosing platonic relationship over romantic relationship? The thing is that most women are now like looking for women that they can do life with instead of sitting down and waiting for a perfect partner from a man. And these women that are looking for women to do life with, they are not even lesbians. They are straight, okay? They like men, right? But then they feel like it's better for them to be in a relationship, in a platonic relationship with a woman than to be with a man. Even single moms, you see them talking and be like, oh, if you know that you're a single mom and you want to stay with me, I'm also a single mom of so and so. Let's do life together, let's stay together, let's build together, and all of that. People are now investing in platonic relationship rather than romantic relationship. And I feel like because romantic relationship has failed a lot of us, okay? And instead of you investing in something that will still fail, because no matter how much you invest in a romantic relationship, in as much as it's okay now, later on you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like it is just very risky, especially if you're doing it with a man. So people are no longer investing in a romantic relationship, and I feel like romantic relationship has a lot of has better PR, meaning a lot of adverts, you know, they advertise that romantic relationship. Oh, you have to have a man, you have to get married, you have to do a man, man and woman, like it is everywhere. Okay, but people don't really advertise that platonic relationship. They feel like it is not something that is going to last long. But then if you have a genuine one, that's, in fact, I don't think you, if you want to compare with a romantic relationship, I don't know. I don't think they can be compared. I just feel like it is an insult for you to put a genuine platonic relationship with a romantic relationship, because the kind of love, I don't know how to explain it, but until you have a genuine platonic relationship before you can understand the difference. Lavender marriage is also a thing. So two people are coming together, they are not specially attracted to each other. They are just, they just want to get married by the paper and build life together, have properties together, do things together, do business together, and just make it legal. It's not because they're actually spiritually attracted to each other or romantically attracted to each other. They're just probably in a platonic relationship, or they're just doing it for business sake. So the thing now is this all adverts of romantic relationship. I just feel like this thing is no longer selling. Because a lot of people are actually like dodging the old bullet when it comes to being in a romantic relationship with a man. With a man, right? And yes, be having a platonic relationship with a man as a woman, I don't think is wise. I don't think it's wise. Like there is no point for you being in a platonic relationship with a man. If the guy will tell you, my best friend is a guy for now, because is either he wants to sleep with you or he's going to sleep with you later. Being in that kind of close relationship with them and they're acting like they don't want to have anything to do with you is rare, especially unless probably they are not straight, or he's not attracted to women. He's attracted to only men, unless that. But if he has a girlfriend, he does women and all that, and you're his best friend, is it even possible for a man and a woman to have this very close relationship and they're not sleeping with each other and they're just best friends? For me, I just feel like a woman can do it, but this men, can they? Can they do it? Because when you later listen to a guy that has a woman as his girlfriend and you see them saying, oh, I've always been in love with you since so and so, but I cannot come and talk to you because I cannot come and tell you I'm in love with you because we're friends. In fact, sometimes the women fall in love with their best friend that is a guy. They end up falling in love with the best friend that is a guy. So I just feel like it is like kind of risky using your art to play games. So it's better for you to be in a platonic relationship with a woman. With a woman. I just feel like that is better anyway. You guys, what is the difference between a platonic relationship and a romantic relationship? Why are people choosing platonic relationship over romantic relationship? Let's have conversation down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, your girl Mariah Davis, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye.